Jaap, very warm welcome to Reading Football Club. Great to have you here.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
You've been here and signed today. And what was it that convinced you that Reading would be a good place for you to work?
Because I was looking for a team that wanted to achieve something, and when I got the invitation to speak to the owners of the club and with Brian Tevreden, the technical director, it was a very good conversation that we had, and the way they thought about football and to achieve something with the club and with the team, and that was very similar to my thoughts of working in football and working in management. So that convinced me to sign at Reading.
And you achieved so much during your playing career, and we only have to look through some photos and videos of the things you achieved, and I'm sure you want to bring that same kind of ambition to your role as a manager.
Well, I think you always need to have an ambition, and that accounts for the players, that's for a club where you work, but also for a manager. And like you said, as a player, I wanted to achieve the most out of everything, and get as high as you can as a player and win as many trophies as you can. And as a manager, I've still got the same ambition, and I want to do that with the team that I'm managing as well, and that's going to be Reading, and I'm very happy to do it with this club, with the squad, or with the players that we have at the moment, and hopefully we can do well all together, and and get eventually to where we want to go with the club all together.
When you first moved to England in 1998, this stadium had just been opened, and when you left in 2001, the club was still 5 years from the Premier League. But since that time, in the last 15 years, it's had a lot of success, and the last couple of years not so much. But I'm sure you'd want to bring those good times back to Reading.
Well, that's one of the reasons I'm over here, and it's not going to be easy, because everybody knows that the Championship is a very strong league. Very great teams are playing in this league. But I have the ambition as a manager to get there and hopefully get to the Premier League with Reading and with the players that we have. And of course, maybe a few things need to be changed, but you never know how it goes. But I think, and like I said before, as a manager, as a player, you need to work to get to the highest level as you can, and you need to work together and give everything that you have in your ability to achieve something. And that's what we're gonna try to do all together, and hopefully we'll get there as well.
And you're joined as well by Andries Orderink and Said Bakati, two guys you know really well from Ajax, and that's going to help you on the training ground, in the technical area. Just it'll make things that will bring your same philosophy into Reading.
Well, I've worked with Andries for 2 years already at Ajax, and Said joined us last season. And they know what I want to do as a manager, how I want to play, what kind of training sessions I want to give, how I am as a manager. Because I don't think as a manager you can do it on your own. You need to have a good staff, and with the two of them, we've also got Steve, who stayed at Reading, who's going to be joining us, so and Dave as well. So we're going to have a good staff, and all together hopefully we can bring Reading to a very high level.
Absolutely. And you've during the course of your playing career, some of the managers you worked with and the captains you had of your teams, and of course you were captain at Ajax too. But you must have had a really good learning experience just from the level of players and managers you've worked with.
Well, that's true. Like you said before, I had a lot of managers during my career, and of course some of the managers you don't learn much of, but I've had a couple, luckily for myself as well, that I could learn a lot of, to be fair, and how they managed a team, and what they did in certain situations, and what they said in certain situations. So and it's always nice to work under the managers like Ferguson and Ancelotti's and a couple of Dutch managers as well, who are very experienced, like Van Gaal, like Hiddink, and there's still a few left. So it's as a player, and if you go into management, you want to pick from every manager or every captain that you've played with, big captain, big players. You want to pick something out of it, and make your own package that hopefully can give something to yourself as a manager as well.
Yeah, who would you say the biggest influences on that have been so far for you in your career so far?
As a manager, when I just started playing professional football, that was Theo de Jong. He was an international player at the time as well. He played for Feyenoord in the national team as well. As a manager, he was very important for myself as a player. And afterward, Dick Advocaat was very important for me in my career as well. And then, of course, after PSV Eindhoven, I went to United, and there was Ferguson, and of course he was already a very big name in the world of football, and he kept on growing as a manager as well, and if you get to work with people like that, that gives you a lot, of how do you say it, inputs, that you can take to your own career as a manager. And at the end of my football career, you start thinking about with which managers did I work together, and what they bring to the team, and what can I use as a manager as well. And that's how you work as a manager. And I think everybody is doing it like that, because it's difficult to do everything on your own, to think about everything on your own, how you want to do it. So hopefully we're going to do well over here.
Yeah, and of course you've been coaching for a little while with Zwolle, where you started your career as well, and your coaching career. Yeah. And Ajax, a club you obviously know really well too. And tell us a little bit about what that experience has been like over the last few years.
Well, that's been good, because I started my coaching career at Zwolle, because I always said when I stopped playing professional football, I don't want to go into management, into coaching. But then FC Zwolle, they phoned me after 6 months when I stopped playing football, because there were like a couple of problems within the club, and with the manager as well, and if I could help the team out on the pitch, I said okay, let's try and see how it goes. And then after 6 months, and being like 2 days a week on the pitch, it grew to like 5-6 days a week, and before you know it, you're into it again, and you're only thinking about football, only in a different way. And when I started for like 2 days a week, at the end you're like the assistant manager at that club, and we brought the club to the highest level in Holland as well, in professional football. And after that, I made a step to Ajax. I worked for Ajax for 4 years. I worked with the first team as well, with Frank de Boer as an assistant manager or a field coach. And after that, I did the second team of Ajax. I was the manager over there, together with Andries Uldering, who joined me over here. And the second team of Ajax, they play in a professional league as well. So like boys who are like 18, 19 years old, they play against players who are like 32, 34 year old. So you have to think differently. You have to work differently in the team. So it's interesting to have done that job as well. And everything you're going to take back and to Reddick now at the moment.
Because like you mentioned there, that role with young Ajax, it's not the same as a traditional youth role, because you have those important games on a Saturday where every point matters, every tackle matters. It's competitive.
Yeah, because in Ajax they say, and that's why they do it. The young players, they bring them into the second team very early, because they hoping that the players will develop very quickly, so that they can go to the first team much quicker than normally, and eventually, we'll at Ajax they'll enjoy those young players for a couple of seasons before they leave, of course, to somewhere else in Europe. And if you work together with those young players, and you need to prepare them for big games, in Holland for the professional teams, and it's a very interesting job to be fair, because the players at Ajax at a certain age, at a young age, normally in the youth teams they always win almost every game, and if they play against players who are like much older than they are, it's very difficult to win those particular games. So they have to learn how to work together in the team, to help each other out, and that's an interesting job.
And similarly, Reddick is over the last 15 years has had really a huge level of success within the academy. So many players coming through the ranks, making professional careers here and going on to other clubs too. And in a way, that's quite a really helpful thing, for you, as someone who has worked with young players, and identifies, when and where people should get opportunities.
Yeah, well, that's what I like to do as well. To bring also young players to the first team. And of course you can't do it only with young players. But sometimes it's good. If the youth development is very good. And young players are like knocking on the door of the first team. You have to bring them to the first team as well, so they can get used to a certain level of playing as well. And maybe if they do very well, they can play in the first team as well.
And on the more sort of immediate term, often when a manager changes, it's in the middle of the season and you have to worry about the game on the Saturday. But this is obviously in the off season. It gives you a chance to kind of see a few more faces around the training ground, get familiar, and hopefully prepare for next season with a bit more time.
Well, that's true. That's the most ideal way in joining a team, joining a club. So before or after the summer, in pre-season when you're going to be starting, because you need to learn the players, you need to learn your squad, you need to see the players on the pitch during training sessions and what they do, what they can bring, maybe to see how they develop themselves in your training sessions, in your style of playing, how you want to play. So it's a very interesting couple of first weeks.
Yeah. And I guess a lot of the players are off on their holidays at the moment, but some of them are still playing football. We've got Gareth McCleary's at the Copa America, 3 guys over at the Euros at the moment. And I suppose you don't, like you say, don't know them necessarily right away, but you must be looking forward to welcoming them back and taking that first training session.
Well, of course, you know, like you said yourself, they're playing in the big tournaments at the moment, you know, so you hope, of course, that they're going to be doing very well, you know, and eventually they'll need their holidays afterwards as well, you know. But of course, you're looking forward to be working with those players.
Well, I was going to say you're keeping an eye on how they're doing at the Euros, but as a Dutchman, maybe you're pretending the Euros isn't happening.
Well, you know, as a Dutchman, we've got all the time now to look at our own players because the Holland is not taking part in this tournament. So, yeah, of course, you know, you're going to be watching the games that they're going to be playing in. So, you know, and hopefully for them, they're going to be doing well. Of course, you know, for the team, for the country they're playing for, but also individually, of course.
And I suppose one of the last things to mention is that, you know, on next Wednesday, it's going to be another exciting day for us because it's the fixture list is released for the next season.
Yeah.
So that's when I'm sure you've seen as a player and as a coach, that's the sort of time when everyone starts to get excited thinking about next season again, and that's when everyone starts to, you know, really plan for next year.
Yeah, well, that's always very interesting, like you said yourself, you know, and like I said before. You know, it's a very strong league with you know big clubs coming back into from the Premier League as well, like Newcastle, like Aston Villa, Norwich, and you know, so it's going to be interesting how whom we're going to be playing in the first couple of games to be fair. And you know, of course, you hope that you're going to be ready for every opponent and that you're going to be doing well.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time and very best of luck here at Reddick.
Thank you.